Welcome back. University students have raised concerns about the dangers of artificial intelligence, especially as AI tools are widely used to quickly gather information for academic work. Joining us to discuss how universities can prevent the risks of careless AI use by students is Nompilo Tshuma, who's a senior lecturer and researcher in educational technology and higher education studies at Stellenbosch University. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. Let's chat a little bit about AI. You know, it's almost like a gift and a curse. Just talk us through some of the pros and cons.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for the invite this evening. Okay, there are some challenges with artificial intelligence, and it's interesting when you look at it out there. There are actually two camps: those who are very excited about artificial intelligence and what it can do, and those who are really scared about what it can do, particularly in higher education. So some of the pros that we have seen, we know that, for those who may not know, artificial intelligence is actually a field that has been around since about the 1950s. And it has brought a lot of good in areas like engineering, in areas like medicine, and so on. But in education, with the advent of ChatGPT and other similar tools, there have been a lot of concerns that have been raised. A lot of these concerns are because students seem to trust what they get out of generative AI tools. We call it a blind trust. So generative AI tools actually give responses that sound plausible. The responses sound so intelligent. But we know that a lot of times, some of the responses are actually nonsense. And students are not always able to tell the difference between what is right and what is wrong. And then it gives them this false sense of confidence, thinking that they understand what is coming out of the tool when they don't really understand what is coming out of the tool. So that is one of the biggest dangers for us. Thank you.
And also, as you're mentioning the two camps, you know, those who are a little bit wary about it and those who are a little bit more excited about it, you know, people who swear by platforms like you've mentioned, like ChatGPT as well. The blind trust, particularly when it comes to students as well, when you are looking at work that is submitted to you as a senior lecturer, can you quickly see that, oh no, this is clearly AI generated, this is not a student's work? Or does it take you some time as well? Are they that sophisticated?
Okay, so when ChatGPT first came out in November of 2022, it was actually easier to see. But there are a lot of tools out there now. We've got Claude, we've got Gemini, we've got Copilot, Perplexity, and so on. And they are becoming more and more sophisticated. So initially, it was quite easy to see. But with time, it's getting a little bit difficult, particularly when students have started to develop expertise within the discipline. So they are able to read something that comes out of a generative AI tool, and they're able to figure out that, oh, maybe this is not right, or this is not right. But in answer to your question, it is becoming a little bit more difficult because the tools are becoming a lot more sophisticated.
And if a student is listening to you now thinking, score, look, I will just continue using these platforms and I will continue to get good grades, our lecturers won't be able to spot it. In the long run, what kind of disservice are they doing them? Are they sidestepping the learning process as well?
Yes, that is one of the key things that we cover in our research. When we look at what the purpose of higher education is, the purpose of higher education is actually to develop a new kind of person. That's what it is. So the person is developing a new identity, a new way of thinking, a new way of seeing the world. And if they bring in AI into that process without thinking very critically about the way that they use that artificial intelligence tool, then it actually impedes their development. By the time they finish, they haven't developed the knowledge, they haven't developed the skills, they haven't developed the attitudes and the thinking abilities that they need to have by the time they finish graduation. So a big part of what we need to do as higher education is to get them to recognize that the purpose, the reason why they are in higher education is to actually become new people. And they need to think about how they can use AI critically in order to accomplish that. Thanks.
So it's not that it shouldn't be used at all, but it's how it's used. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, the question is how it's used. So when we look at how we use artificial intelligence, for example, a lot of academics are using it in their work, but they use it in a balanced way. So you come into the use of a generative AI tool for a particular task, whether you're writing part of an article or you're writing an email or whatever it is you're using it for. You already have a knowledge base. You already have a level of expertise that helps you to assess the errors that are coming out of the generative AI tool. So AI tools are really good at doing more common tasks that are really the base or the foundation of creativity. So if you have a level of expertise in your discipline or in your subject area, then it becomes easier to use it.
Yeah. And, you know, in the world of academia, plagiarism is a big no-no, almost like a swear word as well. What are the risks of using AI tools when it comes to plagiarism as well?
We must think of how the data that is in AI tools is actually harvested. I don't know if you are aware, but there have been multiple court cases from book publishers and so on, and even from individual artists and all around the world who are suing companies like OpenAI, the developers of ChatGPT, because these companies have harvested that data illegally. They haven't paid for accessing that data. So when I now use that data and put in my prompts into a tool like Gemini or ChatGPT and get responses, I'm actually getting responses on data that is copyrighted, data that is not necessarily freely available on the internet. So in other words, I'm using someone else's ideas in order to come up with my ideas, but I should have paid for the use of those ideas. So there's a whole debate around what it means for plagiarism, around what it means for ethics, around what it means for copyright, and so on. And it is important to be aware of all of those debates and make our students aware of them so that when they think about using the tool, then they know what kinds of debates are out there.
And from your conversations with students as well, when you do make them aware of these kinds of intricacies as well, when it comes to AI, are they receptive to it? Do they understand the dangers of misusing it?
Yes, when I do presentations on artificial intelligence with my students, particularly my postgraduate students who are doing research, a lot of them say, okay, now you've really depressed us. Because what I try to show them is that when you are using artificial intelligence, you have to think about the fact that it's actually more political than technological. The tools will give you responses to only the things they are allowed to give you responses to. And I actually show them examples of particular questions, for example, that ChatGPT is not going to respond to, will refuse to respond to, or will blatantly give you the wrong response. Or tools like DeepSeek, which is from China, and particular responses that it will never give you. And it shows the political nature. So I speak about the political nature of it. I speak about some of these challenges that I've reflected here. And I get them to test it and see its limits and its errors. And a lot of times some of them start to say, maybe I shouldn't use it as much as I'm using it. I didn't realize these were some of the issues and challenges with it.
Yeah, well, I can understand why they're feeling a little depressed, but I will say for certain, Nompilo, we're feeling a little bit more enlightened about the dangers and how to exactly use AI as well. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us.